Corals can easily be classified into three separate categories. First category is like what you see in front of you, which is a soft type coral, like the zoanthids. What you see in front of you here is some zoanthids, which are called the Whammon watermelon. They're called that because they have an orange inside. They kind of look like a flower, as well as a green sort of petals around it. Kind of looks like a watermelon. Now to the bottom and the left of that is another type of zoanthid, just has a different color, which has a blue inner circle, and on the outer skirts it's going to be like a brownish color. Up in the top here there's a few little small zoanthids, which are in the hobby called Green Bay Packers because of their colors. Another category of coral is the SPS type coral, or small polyp stony coral. This one here is a Montipora capricornis, and above it is a Montipora digitata. They're both in the same category. Now just above that is another type of SPS coral, but is an acropora, just like the majority of other corals that are inside the tank. There's also small polyp stony corals, or I'm sorry, LPS corals, which are large polyp stony corals, like the one right down here. This one here is a fabia. In the hobby we call it the nuclear fabia. Just to the right of that there's also another LPS coral, which has large polyps on it as well. Now if you look further to the right, there's another capricornis SPS coral, and if you continue to look to the right, you're also going to see a clam. And right there, if you can see, it has a pretty blue, purplish lips coming out of it. The funny thing is when you shine a bright light to it, or if a predator or a fish gets really close to it, it starts to retract and come inside. To the right above it, you'll also see another one of those Montipora capricornis. This is green blob, like I like to call it. And then above it is some assortment of acropora, which is still in the SPS category. If you continue on over to the right, you'll see more SPS coral. That one there is just a acropora. And to the right of that you'll see a little bit of a green, which is considered a Montipora digitata, green digitata. And then to the right of that you'll see an orange or a reddish digitata. Now just below that you will come to see what we call a trumpet coral or a candy cane coral, and that is in the LPS family. Now continue to move on over to the right, you'll see a couple clownfish that are living inside of what looks like an anemone. However, this is not an anemone, it is considered an LPS coral, what we call in the hobby a torch coral. It's a live invertebrate, however, what you see, those stringy components, are large polyps. And these clownfish, they treat it just as they would an anemone. They get together, they lay their eggs, and have baby Nemo fish. As you can see up top right there, there is another beautiful fish, which is called an anthias, or lyre-tail anthias, or also commonly called a blue-eyed anthias. These are schooling fish. We have 4 of them in our tank, and normally they would clump together for protection and swim around the tank together, warding off any enemies by just strength in numbers. That fish that you see there, trying to get it in focus, is a wrasse. We call it a checkerboard wrasse because of the checkerboard pattern on its side. It has pretty pink and blue stripes on its face, and he is one of the cleaner fish. He likes to pick off live microfauna or live bugs that live inside the rock, and he dines on those all day long. Helps keep the rock nice and clean and keep the algae off of the rock. There is a copperband butterfly fish. That is considered a butterfly. He is another one of the fish in this tank that helps maintain a good ecosystem by keeping certain types of invertebrates out of the tank. And there is the king of the tank. He's a powder blue tang. He seems to rule the roost here. Nothing goes on in this tank that he doesn't know about. He ensures good order and discipline throughout the tank, making sure everybody gets along with each other, kind of like your teacher. Up top there you see a couple of blue fish. We call those blue-green chromis. They are another type of schooling fish. There's 6 of them in the tank, and they like to huddle together as well for protection and comfort. In the wild, you'll see hundreds, if not thousands, of these fish together swimming around in big packs just to stay strong. And down here you'll see the diamond goby. He likes to keep the sand clean. What he does is he scoops up the sand in his mouth, and if you watch closely, he will spit it out of the side of his gills as he picks up a big clump of sand and filters it through. What he's actually doing is removing any type of food that may be in the sand, any type of algae. He'll actually eat that, just like a salad. Right now he's just posing for the camera. There he goes. And off he goes back to work. There's one other fish in this tank, which is another wrasse. He is a 6-line wrasse because he has 6 little purple and blue lines across his back. He does the same thing. He picks the rock, he scavenges the rock throughout the day, picking up little morsels of food, little amphipods and copepods or microfauna that live inside the rock. This tank is considered to be a tropical type tank, meaning that the temperature maintains a good 78 to 80 degrees year round, and it tries to mimic the environment that's over there in Australia by the Great Barrier Reef, as well as Indonesia, which is where most of all these fish and corals came from. So there you have it. If one day you ever get the chance to snorkel in Australia, this is the kind of environment you'll come in contact under the ocean.